Man City overcome Newcastle challenge thanks to fantastic Phil Foden. 5 talking points.
Man City 2-0 Newcastle. Pep Guardiola's side negotiated a tricky fixture against Newcastle courtesy of goals from Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva to close the gap on Arsenal. Manchester City cruised to a 2-0 win over Newcastle at St James Park to keep the heat on Arsenal in the Premier League title race. Pep Guardiola's side started the weekend 5 points behind. The Gunners have also played a game more than their current league leaders, but that gap has now been cut to 2 points ahead of Arsenal's meeting with Bournemouth. Phil Foden continued his renaissance after scoring twice in midweek and broke the deadlock with a fine solo goal in the 15th minute to ensure the champions headed into the break with the lead. Newcastle improved after the break, but Bernardo Silva struck just 2 minutes after being introduced from the bench to seal the points. Here, Soccer News takes a look at the biggest talking points from Saturday afternoon's game. Pressing the subscribe, like, and/or comment buttons and sharing with your closest friends will help support this channel. Many thanks. City keep up the heat. We were treated to a title race that went all the way to the wire last season, when Manchester City eventually edged out Liverpool on the final day of the 2021-22 campaign. There's still plenty of time to go before we find out who will emerge victorious this year, but there's every chance that the battle between City and Arsenal could go the distance again. The defending champions ramped up the pressure ahead of Arsenal's meeting with Bournemouth on Saturday afternoon by closing the gap at the summit of the table to 2 points. Manchester City meet Arsenal in a crunch title decider at the Etihad at the start of April, but there's likely to be plenty of twists and turns before then, so strap yourself in. Foden back in favor. What did you make of Man City's performance against Newcastle? Let us know here. If there were any lingering doubts over whether or not Foden is back in favor ahead of Saturday's match, then the City Academy graduate emphatically quashed them once and for all with a majestic performance. Foden broke Newcastle's resistance in style with a clinical finish after dancing his way through a swarm of black and white shirts on the edge of the box. And the 22-year-old caused Dan Burn problems every time he marauded down Manchester City's right-hand side. If City are to hunt down Arsenal over the coming weeks, they'll need their big hitters fit and firing, and with 4 goals in his last 3 games, Foden is certainly in the groove. Newcastle left feeling blue, again. It's been a pretty rough week for Newcastle, who arrived in Manchester licking their wounds after defeat in the Carabao Cup final. They were unable, though, to rebound against the champions and struggled to lay a glove on their hosts in the first half. Newcastle improved after the break, but Saturday afternoon's reverse means they have won just 2 of their 9 league games since Boxing Day, a run that has seen them drop to 5th in the top flight standings. There's no need to panic yet. The Magpies are still firmly in the frame for a top 4 finish and, barring a huge showdown with Manchester United at the start of next month, they have a kind run of fixtures on the horizon. But their European dreams could fade if they cannot find a solution to their recent slump sooner rather than later. City pass on Haaland. It was another frustrating afternoon for Erling Haaland, who failed to add to his remarkable 33-goal haul for the season. Haaland has been scrutinized at times for his lack of involvement in certain Manchester City games this season, but the former Borussia Dortmund star did his level best to get involved in the win over Newcastle. Time after time, City's number 9 made intelligent forward runs, but his teammates failed to pick him out. Unsurprisingly, Haaland was visibly frustrated at times as the match ultimately ended up passing him by. He did, at least, manage to grab an assist with an intelligent flick to Bernardo to kill the game off in the second half. Claims that Haaland is a problem for Manchester City are wide of the mark, but could Manchester City actually end up becoming a problem for Haaland? Grealish gets last laugh. After aiming some pretty derogatory comments at Newcastle favourite Miguel Almiron during Manchester City's title celebrations last year, Jack Grealish was once again the pantomime villain for the travelling Toon Army faithful. The two have made amends, with Grealish apologising publicly, too, but it was Manchester City's £100 million man who had the last laugh after he played his part in a crucial win for City. Grealish played a crucial role in the build-up to the second goal after quick burst towards the penalty box to build on his recent run of impressive performances. Alternatively, it was an afternoon to forget for Almiron, who was effectively shackled by Nathan Ake and replaced late on.